When the Miami Dolphins drafted Tua Tagovailoa out of the University of Alabama ahead of the 2020 NFL season, not only did they bring a phenomenal young quarterback prospect into their organization, but they also ended a rather peculiar drought. One that started back in 2016, and one that some folks began to think may turn into an extinction. And no, it has nothing to do with Tua and the rest of the Tagovailoa clan hailing from Hawaii or anything like that. The drought that looked to be heading towards extinction territory before Tua entered the fold was what appeared to be the impending demise of left-handed quarterbacks in the NFL. Obviously, being left-handed is a recessive trait, so the numbers do play a role in this whole thing. It's not like there's a boatload of left-handers that even make it to playing at the high Division I level. But even so, this phenomenon is rather peculiar, because while left-handedness is generally considered to be an advantage in other sports, I mean, just ask any lefty baseball pitcher, that's not the case in the NFL, where lefty quarterbacks are disproportionately underrepresented, especially in the modern game. Which begs the question, why? What's so wrong with left-handed quarterbacks? As it stands, lefties are just about 12% of the general United States population. Not a huge amount, but still a pretty sizable pot of people to choose from. And when you look at how prevalent left-handed specialists and superstars are in other sports, it begs the question, why, at football's most important position, have there been so few lefties? The disparity is even more striking when you consider the fact that between 2016 and 2019, there was not a single left-handed passer in the entire NFL. Of course, there were the one-off left-handed passes that a scrambling quarterback made in a moment of desperation, a la Patrick Mahomes, or a trick play that features a left-handed skill position player coming off of a reverse, only to pull up and huck the ball down the field to an open teammate like Jarvis Landry or Des Bryant have done in the past. But as far as a regular quarterback, not even just a starter, but a rostered quarterback, there has not been one. It's strange too, because the disparity has only been growing in the modern era of NFL football. I mean, think about it. When you look back at the NFL over the years, every generation has had a very recognizable, if not Hall of Fame caliber, lefty quarterback in its respective era. Guys like Ken Stabler, Boomer Esiason, Steve Young, and Michael Vick. It's actually crazy how long some of these guys were stars in the NFL and for lefties everywhere. Stabler and Young had the longest and most accomplished careers of the bunch. They carried left-handed quarterbacks through the first 30 years of the post-merger era. Stabler from 1970 to 1984 and Young from 1985 to 1999. And for some of our younger fans, they were not just your run-of-the-mill quarterbacks. These guys were sitting atop the league for the bulk of their careers and are now enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But the left-handed quarterbacking accomplishments didn't stop there. The NFL MVP in 1988, Boomer Esiason, along with the infamous Michael Vick, were both four-time Pro Bowlers. And Mark Brunell tacked on 3 trips to the Pro Bowl of his own. So it's not like there's some long-standing precedent for lefties being unable to play at the NFL level. In fact, over the year, left-handers have contributed an average amount of somewhere between 5 and 10% of the league's passing yards. That number falls in line with the typical percentage in the country's general population, unlike the minuscule percentage we've seen in recent years. The last left-handed quarterback to play in the NFL prior to Tua breaking into the league, Kellen Moore, who interestingly is now the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, talked to Bleacher Report about the trend. I don't really think about it a whole lot, Moore admitted to Bleacher Report when he was asked about being the last lefty standing, but a few people have made me aware of it, and I guess it's sort of a unique accomplishment. Mark Brunell echoed a similar sentiment, although unsurprisingly, he was slightly more dramatic than his left-handed peer. In fact, Brunell sounded so troubled by what he has seen that you would think NFL general managers were taking left-handed quarterbacks out to pasture. But unfortunately, we're a dying breed, Brunell started. We need someone to relight and carry the torch for us. If we don't find that, we could become extinct here soon. Again, a little dramatic for my liking, but I guess I can sort of see where Brunell's coming from. Sort of. Anyway, all this lefty quarterback talk got us thinking, why are the lefty quarterbacks going, in Brunell's words, extinct? After doing a little bit of research on what some former lefties and those in and around the game had to say, well, it looks like there are a few different factors at play. For starters, Kellen Moore thinks that most of them are now spurning a career in football to play baseball. And those are actually the smart ones, as he explained to Eric Edholm of 538. I think all the smart lefties went and played baseball, Moore said. The sport is kind of designed for them. There's a little more lefty influence in that sport. And while I don't know if their actual intelligence plays a role in this decision, the numbers actually do support the idea that lefties are putting down the pigskin in favor of America's pastime. According to the Washington Post, during the 2018 MLB season, there was a grand total of 795 pitchers that appeared in a game. And of that 795 pitchers, approximately 26% of them were left-handers. That means, at what is arguably the most important position in baseball, the percentage of left-handers is more than double the national population. While in football, it's just a fraction of the national population. According to Stephen Chrisman, a University of Toledo psychology professor who grew up left-handed and has studied the role that handedness plays in society and sports extensively, the advantages for a lefty in baseball don't stop there either. Studies have shown that the left hand is controlled by the right brain, which in Chrisman's words, specializes in closed-loop motor activities that involve taking in and reacting to visual feedback, such as watching a baseball and hitting it, which means that it isn't just the intrigue of becoming a left-handed pitcher that is luring football talent off the gridiron, but also the mechanics of baseball and the way in which the brain functions as a whole. And the cycle sort of feeds into itself because as lefties have continued to have success in baseball, coaches from Little League to Major League Baseball tend to overvalue southpaws because of the tactical advantage that they provide. So at every level along the way, they are over-recruited, which undeniably eats away at the pool of potential left-handed quarterbacks for the NFL. Even for someone like Matt Leinart, a rare left-hander who not only took the helm at quarterback for a prestigious Power 5 college football program like USC, but also made it into the NFL, pursuing a career in football was actually a bit of serendipity. Growing up in Southern California, Leinart was a stud athlete across multiple sports, including baseball and football. And while he made his money tossing the pigskin, he now maintains that he would have 100% played baseball if he had not suffered a major shoulder injury before his sophomore year of high school. The injury ended up causing him too much pain to pitch on a regular basis, but for whatever reason, it didn't really impact the way that he threw a football. Although baseball coaches favor left-handers, conversely, there may actually be a degree of bias that works against left-handed quarterbacks that are trying to climb the ranks to the pros. Just ask Brian Zanders, now a senior personnel executive with the Los Angeles Rams. He was the preeminent left-handed quarterback expert with the Atlanta Falcons during Vic's tenure there, and later drafted one of the most famous lefty quarterbacks of all time, for better or for worse, Tim Tebow, when he was serving as the general manager of the Denver Broncos. If two quarterbacks are totally equal in everything, teams will sign the right-hander, Zander told the Washington Post. Everyone is more used to it. Football is a sport that places a premium on continuity and simplicity when it comes to some of the game's foundational principles. Concepts like protecting the quarterback, implementing blocking schemes, and developing a successful run-play-action-fake game. And when you bring a left-hander into the equation, everything immediately gets complicated. I mean, think about it. All of your priorities flip. The left tackle, a high-paid position in the NFL because he's responsible for protecting the quarterback's blind side, is no longer the most important spot on the offensive line. It's now the right tackle, as a left-handed quarterback squares up in the opposite direction. Similarly, coaches need to alter their formations and flip most all of their plays when they have a left-handed quarterback at the helm, which greatly limits the number of opportunities for left-handed QBs in the NFL. Because if a team has a right-handed starter, they would never even think to have a lefty serve as the backup. It just doesn't make practical sense. So, even if Tua goes on to be a massive success in the NFL, don't expect there to be a massive influx of left-handed talent at the quarterback position. There are too many factors working against them as a group. The smart money is on these opportunities for left-handed QBs to play in the NFL remaining limited to just the elite of the elite prospects, and guys that have an explosive athletic ability like Tua or Mike Vick. But hey, what about you? Do you think Tua has what it takes to be the greatest left-handed quarterback ever? Join us in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thank you for watching and we'll see you guys next time.